Good afternoon and welcome to our weekly chat between myself, Andre Cilliers, currency strategist, and Richard Cilliers, our chief dealer, TreasuryONE. Welcome, Richard. We've just absolutely 5 minutes ago had the announcement of the rate decision by the monetary policy by Mr. Letshega Kganyago. Quickly, just tell our viewers what happened on that one.
Yeah, good afternoon, Andre. Yeah, we've seen, as widely expected, that the South African Reserve Bank has kept rates unchanged. 3.5% for the repo. It means that our prime rate will remain at 7%. And the main focus was that they say, although inflation is going to hover around the 3% mark for the next 2 years, which is the lower band in the band that they're targeting, is they don't want to cut the rates. So they're very cautious about cutting rates too low and eroding yield. So we think this is the bottom of the cycle, and they also alluded to the second half of 2021 that we can perhaps look at even rate hikes in 2021 again. So the Reserve Bank is definitely not going to cut anytime soon. The market expected perhaps a 25 basis point cut either today or in January. It doesn't look like it's going to materialize, and I think we are at the bottom of the interest rate cycle at the moment.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, in the markets, very much still the Biden and the COVID situation. I'd like to talk a little bit about what we can expect further in terms of our exchange rates, but you can most probably just quickly tell us, what are you seeing from the phone calls coming in from clients in terms of the need for them to take action either on imports or exports?
Yeah, so at the moment, we've seen obviously a lot of our importers has been holding out, and they are definitely finding at this stage looking to take some cover at these favorable levels that they haven't seen in the past 9 months. We also still do feel, that this is good buying opportunities. And the exporters can probably see weaker levels again somewhere down the line. We've seen the rand massively strengthen. Well, we'll say massively strengthen from April's 19.35, where we're currently sitting at 15.50. It's a big 4 rand pullback we've seen in the rand, and definitely advisable for short-term cover if you're an importer to look to make use of these levels to carry yourself, because we do think there is a risk, a little bit of risk of due somewhere, because as you mentioned, the elections, Joe Biden is the president-elect, but he's not been sworn in as president yet. So we can probably still see a challenge by President Trump. He's been very quiet actually lately on Twitter. He's just been hammering on about the fraud that we've seen and voter fraud, but nobody's really taking it seriously. And then obviously the vaccine front, everybody's on the positive news about the vaccine front and the coronavirus cases. But in the short term, there's definitely still lockdowns in the world, and there's still a lot of questions about vaccines, about how it's going to be transported, how it's going to be refrigerated. So there's a lot of questions still left. From your perspective, what are you seeing at the moment in the currency markets?
Yes, no, thank you very much. I agree with you 100% on everything that you've said. And it is my feeling that with the lockdowns that we've incurred in Europe again, and we've seen more actions being taken in the United States as well. The concerns about Mr. Trump, he's still firing people, he's still making it extremely difficult for Mr. Biden, and so we can expect a very rocky ride in terms of the takeover of the new administration. But what I'm seeing is that we will most probably focus a little bit more with the vaccines coming out for the COVID-19 illness. We can expect that markets will start looking at the returning of looking at fundamental factors and see how economies actually get back to growth and what the impact of any further lockdowns will be. and then obviously how quick a turnaround will be. But that will come from economic fundamental figures, the release of figures out of various regions. And I think the emphasis will move back towards that rather than only on the speculation of pandemics and elections. And then I specifically would like to mention that we at South Africa, from a South African point of view, it doesn't matter whether we have a president saying that we get more pleasures and whether our interest rates remain at the same levels, we are still in a very, very tight spot in terms of our economic data, in terms of our statistics as to where the economy stands. So if one then looks at the rand and you look at the started around the 1520, and it's been my expectation all along that we will end the year around the 1520, 1550 levels, and then that's exactly where we are now. So in the very, very short term, next couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks, I would expect that we could see the rand going up to the high 15s, close to the 16 levels, which is areas where the exporters should look at taking some forward cover again. But in the meantime, importers should very, very definitely advantage of the levels and cover their short-term commitments, because I definitely foresee that we could see a bit of a jump going higher. Late in December, second, third, fourth week, first week January, we might see the rand coming back down. There, it's possible that we could see a testing of the 1520 again. Once again, reaching those levels, importers should jump in, take some forward cover, because going into 2021, I foresee that the economic fundamentals will come back and bite us badly in the back, and we will see the rand trading back up to levels even going over 16 and going back to the 1650 levels. So an interesting period for the next 6 weeks as we head up into the close of this year. Firstly, I think a little bit up, then a little bit down, but in both cases, now and on a second, call it a second wave down again, importers should definitely look at taking cover for their short-term commitments. And I think that's that for the week. We'll have to see how things play out further. But I think that's the message that is out there for our importers and exporters. Expect some volatility, but look at the lower levels and take cover for you on the import side.
Thank you so much for your time once again.
That's a pleasure. Thank you.